The Richmond Ermit AIDS Foundation, raising funds for AIDS service provider agencies through the production of quality entertainment events. The AIDS crisis. The fight continues.
I can't even begin to tell you how AIDS has impacted my life. I have probably lost 20 to 30 close friends, women, men, children, old people, young people. It doesn't seem to ever end.
I lost the two greatest acting teachers I've ever known in my entire life. You know, countless friends and former directors, choreographers, stage managers, so many different people in my life. And
I'm ashamed to admit this, but I've lost so many friends, associates, people I love, care about, people I admire that I didn't even know, that I've forgotten some of their names.
I don't think you could have been alive and conscious at all for the last 20 years and not been affected in some way by AIDS.
We had the most devastating line of Dolly boys in the original Dolly in New York, and every one of them except one is dead now.
In my cast alone, Dreamgirls, I think over 30 people have gone as a result of AIDS.
I would say 50% of my dearest friends are gays, and as a result, I've lost almost half of them.
I've lost just tons and tons and buried many, many people, and buried people very young. And so it profoundly affected my life.
It's an issue that's been close to my heart. I've seen so much devastation. I've seen so much pain.
It's impacted my life significantly on the people that I live and laugh with and the people that I work with. So it's devastated me, and that's not an understatement.
When I watch the news and I see that it's all over the planet, it's not just here in America in our artistic community, it's so prevalent in Africa and everywhere else, and I just think they're not funding it enough yet.
Russia's in denial about AIDS. So is Singapore. In Brazil, 8 out of 20 people are infected with HIV. 8.
It's the worst epidemic since the Black Plague. It's an unbelievably harsh killer that has decimated whole populations. I mean, the figures coming out of China alone, as the infection levels build, are staggering.
Every minute somebody dies of AIDS. Every 30 seconds someone contracts HIV in this world.
And I don't think people have realized this because the disease has been marginalized in this country.
What is doubly sad is that we had thought for a while that maybe we had AIDS in check in America. That's not the case anymore.
You hear all the time that no one really knows how many people have died from AIDS. A lot of times people die from it and it's declared pneumonia or something else.
We thought in the 80s that it would be wiped out in a few years, and it hasn't been. And I think that we've become complacent, and I think that we're saying, oh, well, people are on drugs now and living longer and everything else.
Whenever infection rates go down or the incidence of anything goes down, people figure, oh, the heat's off, move on. But the infection rates, in fact, are going up, and if you look at them closely, you realize that they're affecting younger people every time.
My son is, 7, and my other one is 5, and I was hoping it would be figured out before they even got here.
There's some misapprehension, I think, that people have that you take a bunch of pills and it's all over. It's like some kind of disco headache. It just goes away the next day.
Sometimes cocktails will help and will help you prolong your life and give you a life. But there are all of these subsidiary things that happen when you're on, and they're just finding out all of the liver involvement and the neuropathy and all of that stuff that happens. And the expense is absolutely taking of life.
This is a disease that's transmitted through intimacy. And as long as that goes on, we're going to have to police it and constantly be making people aware of it. And so we got to redouble our efforts, and sometimes that costs money.
The closer you get, the more important it is to follow through. If money goes elsewhere, if it all goes towards something else, then we could very potentially miss a great window of opportunity to finally put an end to this horror.
A lot of the people that I knew who were very ill with AIDS actually eventually died. Now I have a few close friends that are living with AIDS, and they desperately depend on the services of the organizations that are around to keep them going, because their money doesn't stretch very far, and not everybody has insurance. So it's a day-to-day thing?
It has to be stopped. It has to be controlled. Awareness needs to be raised all over the world. People who have it need to be helped and treated and given compassion and care.
I just feel like the war is not over, and until it is, until there's a vaccine or if it's completely wiped out through some other method, I think we have a responsibility to do what we can.
This is something that threatens the entire community and world, so we can't stop, even though times are hard right now for everybody,
The government has cut funding, and private organizations have dried up in many, many places. We really, really need your help.
It certainly helped, all the help that's been given so far, but it's got to be handled again, every new generation.
So give a little bit to cancer, give a little bit to American Heart Association, give a little bit for education, and save a lot for the AIDS groups that are working so hard.
This foundation in particular does so much, just tirelessly, relentlessly to make sure that we keep providing more and more assistance.
If you want to really help this issue, the AIDS issue, where you'd like to give your money to something that is really worthwhile and is going to make a difference, I mean, this is a good way to do it because it's more than just the money that you give. It's your money, and then it magically becomes like the loaves and the fishes. It expands and makes a lot more than what you would normally do just by writing a check. So it's a hopeful thing, and every time we raise a lot of money, the hope continues. Help is on the way, and we have to believe that or we couldn't continue to do what we do.